we will discuss about camel stomach. Actually, we want to look into some basic anatomy, histology of camel stomach. There are some famous questions we are looking to answer them. For example, number one, is camel is ruminant? Number two, how many stomach compartment or chambers does camel have? What kind of similarities are between ruminants and camels? So these are some basic points, to get the answer of these things. Is camel is ruminant? What is your idea? Camel is ruminant?
Yes, sir.
How? One by, please.
Because it has rumen and do rumination.
It has rumen. This is a big statement. Do you heard a term pseudo-ruminant?
Yes, sir.
Which animal is a pseudo-ruminant? One by one. Horse is a pseudo-ruminant? Please, one by one. Horse is a pseudo-ruminant?
No, sir.
Camel? Don't forget the basic rule. Please speak one by one. Behave yourself. So, camel? Pseudo-ruminant? Camel is a ruminant? Ruminant you are saying yes, pseudo-ruminant you are saying yes. Wow. Yes?
Sir, camel have rumen, so pseudo-ruminant means false ruminant. Those do not have rumen. So that's why camel is not a pseudo-ruminant.
Okay. How many stomach compartment does camel have?
Three compartments.
Three? If I say four? Okay. Let me tell you very interesting things. If you go through the literature, you will find some books or some paper will write camel is a pseudo-ruminant. Will write camel is a? Some books will write camel is a ruminant. And also about the compartment, in some books, in some literature you will find they will say camel have all four chambers, and some say they have three compartments. There is one basic idea already. What is a true ruminant? What is the true ruminants? True ruminants mean sheep and ox. Actually we have large ruminant and small ruminant. We know very well we have four compartments. One is rumen, other is reticulum, third one omasum, abomasum. Clear? Another story, this is a structural story. Ruminants have four compartments. If you go on the functional story, the function of digestive system is to do digestion. On the basis of digestion, we have two other classification. One is we known as foregut digestive fermentation. This term is better more. And hindgut fermentation. Problem is that this type of stomach, ruminant reticulum, they do fermentations. They do. On that basis, we also have two classes. Some animals, they do fermentation in their stomach. We call them foregut fermentation animals. We call them this classification. Some animals do in the part of intestine, like cecum. That is called as hindgut fermentation. This is a classification. So in that stories, if you are talking about ox or sheep, they are true ruminants. They are and foregut fragmentation animals, and because this rumen is responsible for fragmentations of the food which is taken by the ox or sheep. If you at the same time you talk about the horse is not a ruminant. Horse is not a ruminant, have a simple stomach which is internally divided into two parts. Two parts. That stomach, but functionally the horse is. Come here. We actually today's our topic is camel. The story, another term you know, rumen, reticulum and omasum collectively known as forestomach. Okay? And this abomasum is known as. One more important thing. This forestomach is actually non-glandular. Okay? The mucosa of these three parts is non-glandular. Here, this one is glandular. Point is that if you look into the stomach of camel, in literature you will find there is a great controversy about the nomenclature of the compartment, somehow the functionality of the compartment. The main controversy is based on the nomenclature, of the compartments. First of all, you can call camel is a ruminant. There is two reasons. Number one, camel have a forestomach. Camel have a forestomach, and camel also do foregut fermentation, and that means they also do rumination. Because they do not have all these four organs, all these four compartments, rumen, reticulum, omasum, abomasum. So sometime in literature, because they are little different from sheep and ox, from large ruminant and small ruminants, so sometime in literature they are also known as pseudo-ruminants. The reason that they have at the compartment here in true ruminants we have four compartments, but in camel normally it's believed that we have three compartments, but some books also write they have four compartments. We need to look into that, how many compartments they have. Number one, if you look into need a rough diagram of camel. Camel have a hump, So we are taking a rough diagram to understand. If you look into the stomach of camel, you will find they are on the left side is like this. Entry of esophagus is here, for example. About the nomenclature of the compartment of the camel stomach, we have two different nomenclature. One is that, which is most common and most understandable nowadays, we called C1, C2, C. Some authors, they believe, okay, C1 is a rumen, okay, C2 is a reticulum, and C3 they collectively called, okay, omasum and abomasum. I will explain what's the meaning of this. And another classification, we need to understand this. They believe that camel have two compartments, that they believe that the forestomach of camel is a single ventricle or proventriculus, which have many ventricles, and the number two is the abomasum. I want to look here on this diagram, you will understand this. One group of researchers believe that we have these three compartments. Which one? This is the big one is the C1. Big one is the C1. Here they believe here we have a small compartment. Okay, they call this is C1, this is C2, and name this is C3. This one is C3. This is a one understanding about the camel stomach. The other one, they believe this whole is the rumen, this small one is the reticulum, and the third one is have a both ability omazum and abomazum. This is also believed. The third group, they believe that this is a whole is a one compartment. This number one is a one compartment up to here. This will known as proventriculus, and this the remaining area, and this the remaining area they call this is the abomazum, and this abomazum is further divided into four regions. Further divided into, which are you very familiar with? What kind true stomach have which kind of regions? Cardiac, fundus, pyloric. This one is known as the pseudo cardiac extra. So point is that we have great controversy on the nomenclature of the camel stomach. Controversy is that one group they just straightforward give name like the true ruminants like hogs. They will call this is rumen, that one is reticulum here, but they believe that omazum and abomazum they are collectively a single chamber, a tube like. If you look, this is a somehow similar structure. This is a big area, round shape, and this and the second there is a small pouch here, C2, and C3 is a tube-like structure. C3 is the tube-like structure. So this is believed that this C3 is actually omazum and abomazum togetherly do not have any partition. Do not have any partitions. But this classification believe that this whole area, the C1 and C2 collectively is the proventriculus, and the remaining part is the abomazum. You know, in that story, if you look on the gross anatomy of the camel stomach, you will find this the beginning of this upper area or dorsal area is start from the C7th rib, you know. C7 you can say, or from it's better to use the term ribs. 7th ribs to up to 12th ribs. Up to 12th ribs, this area from, if you can divide C1 into cranial part and caudal part. Cranial part and caudal part from 7th to 12th rib. If you are looking from the dorsal side, if you are looking from the dorsal side especially, point is that if you want to classify properly this compartment, you need some histological involvement to the clear cut this nomenclature. Many people believe that camel do not have omazum. Many people believe that, researchers believe that camel do not have. This is okay, because that's true. This is the idea. Some scientists believe that maybe this C3 actually, which we are giving the name, this is maybe omazum and abomazum togetherly, but that's not true. True is that camel have three compartments. Camel have three compartments. It's up to you how you name them. One way is to giving the name that C1, C2 and other ways you can call rumen, reticulum and another way you can call proventriculus and give name this C3, you can give name cardia, pseudocardia, fundus and pylorus. Even some researchers did the research on the development of the camel stomach. They found there is no evidence of the development of omazum in the camel. So this is somehow understanding. We believe that we have three compartments. We have three compartments, C1, C2 and so in most of literature people use these nomenclature now. Most common nomenclature about camel stomach is C1, C2 and C, because this give easy understanding and easy to understand and easy to learn. And other point, you should keep in your mind, camel stomach have differentiation, have variation with compared to the ruminant stomach. With compared to the number one variation we have, we do not have omasum. It's clear. The second one, which is actually important, which makes the camel stomach is a different stomach from other ruminants, that is this. We know these three parts. In true ruminants, we have what? Non-glandular. Non-glandular. But here is the story different. These three compartments of the camel stomachs are glandular, but not fully. In the different areas. For example, if take the example of this, here we have cranial glandular sac. That's why cranial, you know, basic terminology of the anatomy. Here we have caudal glandular. We will look into the detail of this. Just I want to give an idea. Idea is that in the camel stomach, in three compartments, we have a glandular regions. No, this actually this C3 is mainly glandular area. C3 is mainly glandular area, but C2 and C1 and C2 also have glandular sacs. Also have some area is a. In other sense, if you dip into the histology, you can say that the C1 and C2 of the camel is lined by steatostratified columnar epithelium, but at the same time, the glandular area of the C1 is lined with by simple columnar epithelium. Simple? Because if you look here, or fourth stomach, this all three compartment, rumen, reticulum, omasum, they are completely lined by stratified squamous epithelium, meaning non-glandular epithelium. So, but here in C1 and C2 we have both type of epithelium. We have glandular epithelium and non-glandular. Glandular epithelium, simple columnar epithelium, and non-glandular epithelium is the stratified squamous epithelium. So another different point is that this, you cannot say some compartment of the camel stomach is completely non-glandular. The compartment C1 and 2 have both property, glandular and, but here in ruminants we have these three is non-glandular, and last one is. Actually, you know what is the role of fundic regions? Yes, this area actually produce gastric juice, which is mainly HCl, remaining epithelium of glandular system produce what? Mucus. So if you dip into this C3, some people also believe that here is the hind area, or this fundic or pyloric area, this last region, okay? This last region is the HCl producing region. This last region is the, sometime, maybe in some book, maybe he give this name as hind stomach. So this remaining part is still, some people, the person who give name of omasum, he believe this is omasum and remaining is abomasum, but there is no demarcation, there is no compartmentalization, not in a single compartment. It's clear. So, but point is that mainly the abomasum also have glandular epithelium. Epithelium. So up to here you need to understand 2 and 3 main things. Number one, they are ruminant, but they are not have all 4 compartment in the stomach. Camel do not have all 4 compartment. And secondly, functionally, the stomach of camel have in every compartment a glandular region, which we call glandular sac, Is clear? If the next thing you need to understand, the C1, which we called as here compartment number 1, you can also call this as rumen. This compartment, if you look in detail, you will find what? with a muscular pillar, you know, pillar and pits and grooves, the anatomical term. If we're looking inside of this compartment, they have a muscular pillar, large muscular pillar, which divides C1 into two areas. We divide C1 into, this will known as cranial part. This will known as cranial part. And this will known as caudal part. If you look inside of the cranial and caudal part, you will understand what? We will know that if first of all we will look on the mucosal lining of this part, you will find here the region mainly is lined with what? Lined with stratified squamous epithelium. You know, there is one different also with compared to ruminants. That's why there is no papilla. You know, in the cattle and sheep, the rumen have, but here we have the remaining stratified squamous epithelium. The most prominent structure we have what? Sacs. We have glandular. Glandular sacs actually arranged somehow like ribs. They are most prominent in C1 compartment of camel stomach. If you look, we are taking examples are two. One is in cranial part, one is in caudal parts. You know gastric pit, a term you know maybe. Point is that this structure, you know, these are actually known as, this area is, for example, is demarcated like this. This area is known as glandular sacs. I can tell you an interesting story. They are also known as water sac. Also known as, there was a myth, you know, people was believed this water sac is actually a store in the stomach. Animal can store water. That was a myth, not true in the previously. But when scientists have explored this, they find us no, they are not actually water sacs. They are actually glandular sacs, because this area mainly lined with simple columnar epithelium. In other sense, they are lined with glandular epithelium. Glandular epithelium. Point is that if you look on this structure, this area is region. This long areas or long pillars are actually known as primary pillars. Actually known as primary pillars. And these small regions which are connecting with this each other, they are known as secondary pillars. And between these areas actually we have some columnar epithelium. These pillars, especially this primary pillar, are actually made up of stratified squamous epithelium. They are made up of the stratified squamous epithelium, or in other sense they have muscular count because they are pillars. They are, but between these pillars we have what? Simple columnar cells or glandular cells, or we have gastric pits. We have gastric pits in the inside of these area. So this is believed that they have a great role in absorption and the digestion of the food in the stomach of camels. So similar structure this have in the cranial parts. So these two structures which they have a muscular pillars which known as secondary pillar and primary pillar. Between these secondary and primary pillars we have what? Simple columnar epithelial cells or gastric pit or gastric. They are involved in the production of some digestive hormones or some digestive enzymes. They are also involvement in the absorption. They are also involved in the absorptions. Clear in camel stomach. Okay. Listen again carefully. If you look on the C1 is lined with two types of epitheliums, stratified squamous and simple columnar. This is the difference between the stomach of the cattle and camel. In cattle, in true ruminants, we have what? Whole area is covered with by stratified squamous epithelium, and we have papillas. in cattle. But here we have an area which have some different sacs. These sacs actually known as the glandular sacs. Known as glandular sacs, and glandular sacs actually made up of what? Simple columnar epithelium. If you jump into which we scientists give the name as the second compartment, which give the name as C2. The C2 is do not have. That's why this is difficult to use the terms rumen and reticulum, because the reticulum mucosa have the shape like honeycomb. But here we do not have honeycomb shape. Here we same story like this glandular sacs. Here we have what? That's pillars. We have similar pillars in the compartment number 2. And another important point, internally there is no demarcation between C1 and C2. That's why scientists give this whole is a proventriculus. They give the name because it's internally it's difficult to differentiate between C1 and C2. It's clear. And also if you compare with the reticulum of the cattle or large or small ruminants or sheep, you will find there is the mucosa show like honeycombs. But here is they have a pillars which is somehow similar glandular sacs, which are somehow similar glandular sacs. If you continue to the next, this is the difference here. On the right side you can view that the last and C3 is the tube-like, structure, structure which is sometimes known as abomasum, and sometimes people give, oh, this is the C3, this is the early portion, and the last one which is HCl producing is the C4. You know, some people may also give the terminology like this, they have C4. And I remember in early study, the author have divided camel stomach into 5 compartments, but for me is C1, C2 and C3 is okay. But you must remember the C3 abomasum further divided into cardiac, pseudocardiac, fundic and pylorics. And again you need to understand these things. They are not 100% similar with the abomasum of other animals. They are producing HCl. They are producing mucus. But still, if you look in the internal structure of the mucosal lining of the C3 point, you will find some variations. You will find variation. What kind of? One thing is clear. If there is a glandular region, they have simple columnar. But still, you may find in the some area this muscular pillars. This structure somehow similar to the glandular sacs. Structure somehow similar to the glandular sac, and some area especially in cardiac and pseudocardiac regions in the early areas, you will find there is the presence of stratified squamous epithelium. That's why some people believe that this little area is omasum, because of the mucosa is made up of what? Stratified squamous epithelium. It's clear. And the point number 2 is that if you look on the procedure of rumination, so in the rumination there is some differentiation. In the rumination there is 2 part of the C1, this cranial part and caudal parts. They are involved mainly. They are one portion relax and the other contract. They have 2 cycle A and B, 2 sequence. In one cycle, one part of this is a relax, in the other cycle one is contract. So definitely with the help of anti-peristalsis movement, this food or cut go back into the oral cavity of the camel. Point is that they do rumination, and in rumination these 2 parts, cranial part and caudal part, are involved. Although the rate of rumination between large animal and camel is different, but one thing is clear, they also have microflora. As large animals have. They also have bacterial fragmentation here. They also have, similarly as we have in large animal and small animals. So that's why they are called ruminants, because they have ability to do fragmentation. They are foregut fragmentation camels. So that's mean in the rumen they have what? In the C1 they have microflora. They have, which is some author write that much similar with the microflora of large ruminants and small like cattle and sheep. Clear? Okay. At then you need to understand few basic things. The camel stomach is different from the ruminant stomachs. Is the different from the mainly in structure, mainly in, and definitely if there is a change in structure, there is a change in function. So what major difference we have? For me, the major difference is that the forestomach of camel is have both ability, have glandular and non-glandular lining, have glandular and, but in ruminants, the first forestomach is only lined with non-glandular, only the region is non. This is one of the major difference. Difference number 2, because the C1 is have glandular and non-glandular region, so glandular region of C1 is known as glandular sacs or water sacs. They have a simple columnar epithelium which help in absorption and help in digestion. Is clear? And the third difference, there is a structural difference because the for example, the last compartment of the cattle is big tube-like compartment, and this compartment which is we are calling C1 is also big, but this in the camel is somehow round shape, and also they do not have a too much prominent grooves on the external surface which we found in the cattles. So there is, but internally also in the stomach of cattle we have so many pillars, but here we have one major pillar which only divides C1 into cranial part and caudal part. Is clear? Any other difference? No? Do you have any question? You must have.